Today I want to talk about human-centered virtual teams. Currently, most of the technology focus is on the tools, not the humans behind the tools. And even though technology is, for the most part, making it easier to work virtually, there's still a lingering stigma around remote work that prevents companies from allowing it. And they're missing out. They could be saving huge amounts of money on real estate, happier employees overall, access to an exponentially larger pool of talent, no commutes, which equals a lower carbon footprint, and the list goes on. But for whatever reason, remote teamwork still hasn't quite taken off yet. People say things like, "You can't collaborate online, it has to be in person," or "That's just not how we work." I'm sure you've all heard this story. A few years ago, Yahoo CEO Marissa Meyer sparked a national debate by declaring Yahoo employees will no longer be able to work from home. She says, quote, "To become the absolute best place to work, communication and collaboration will be important, so we need to be working side by side. That is why it is critical that we are all present in our offices. Some of the best decisions and insights come from hallway and cafeteria discussions, meeting new people, and impromptu meetings. Speed and quality are often sacrificed when we work from home." Marissa Meyer. So, part of this is true. We do gain insights from serendipitous experiences. But is it also true that we have to be physically next to each other to have these experiences? This is how Google defines serendipity. But notice, it doesn't say anything about a requirement to be in the same geographical location to make this happen. So then is it possible that a chance event could occur between people, but through a dispersed environment? Could we say this gamer is experiencing a form of serendipity? Or maybe she is. Or these grandparents. The point is, even if these are not the chance encounters Myers is talking about, it is possible to have meaningful, engaging experiences with other people who are geographically dispersed, which leads me to think this is not the problem. I think the real problem is, to date, we've not yet taken a strategic approach to how we communicate and collaborate in virtual teams. We've done what is comfortable, and that is, we've let things evolve on their own without giving a thought to how it could be, so instead we are left with how it currently is. A jumbled mess of ridiculously long email chains, multitasking on conference calls, miscommunication, and misunderstanding. But most importantly, there's a misconception about what is possible. In other words, the virtual team process as it stands is very unintentional. We blame technology when things don't work out and default to the quote-unquote physical presence as being the best solution. So, as it stands, yes, virtual teamwork is hard, but it doesn't have to be. As we see the need for virtual collaboration rise, so will the need for understanding these complex interaction processes, which in simple terms means understanding people. The answer isn't to hold technology responsible, to make more expensive equipment, faster devices, or complicated software. The answer is to look at what makes us human. What are the pieces on a humanistic level that make teams successful? It's solid relationships, a shared vision, clear communication. It's understanding your teammates' work styles, energy levels, emotions, their sense of humor, and what drives them to get out of bed in the morning. And we won't find these things out just by letting technology dictate how we interact with each other. We must design it. We need to take the magic of what makes in-person interaction unique and then foster this connection within a virtual context. When we do this, a strange thing happens. We begin to see a human-centered framework emerge. Now, in all fairness, we are starting to see a flood of platforms and apps to help us get better at communicating with our teammates and managing our workload. But as with any of the communication tools throughout history have shown us with their promise of efficient utopia, the tools can only do so much, and actually sometimes end up creating more work. The only way out of the cycle is to design for a more holistic human experience, which means people first, technology second. Through my research, interviews, and working in online teams, I've started to piece together some recurring themes, patterns, and processes of successful teams that we can start to implement. Now the trick is to make it work in a virtual environment. Even if your company doesn't provide a home office stipend, there are plenty of things you can do to set up an environment that is conducive to a healthy workspace. Find a space where you can work comfortably without distraction. Declare a closed door, do not disturb policy during work time. Part of the challenge from working from home can be dealing with outside distractions, but if you set parameters ahead of time, you can tackle this challenge head on. Consider using headphones. It eliminates the echo problem. Make time during the day to get out. It can be really easy to work nonstop without scheduled breaks, but this is terrible for your health and well-being. Take a few minutes each day to get out and get some fresh air. There are some really great tools out there. You just have to decide what best fits your team's needs, or maybe it's a combination of things. In many ways, working online can be very similar to working in person. However, communication is not only different, it can be disastrous if miscommunication happens. The good news is that most of these issues can be solved by setting just a few guidelines and a little practice. The idea is, don't just let things happen. Take a deliberate approach to how your team will communicate and eliminate confusion before it happens. One of the biggest challenges of working in a dispersed team is coordinating across multiple time zones. And even though there are tools to help with scheduling across time zones, people also have differences in peak mental hours within their time zones, which the tool does not account for. The key in any case is flexibility and being critical of when it is actually necessary to meet versus work that could be done via other digital channels. Don't just assume who is going to do what. Assign roles and responsibility and have regular daily or weekly check-ins. They should be short and concise, no more than a few minutes per member. Say what you are going to do, then do it. This is also a good time to bring up recurring issues that you are tackling so that others know when to step in and help out. Nothing is worse than a divided team. Members who are unmotivated, unpresent, or mentally destructive can be detrimental to any team's success. Creative criticism is helpful, whereas negativity is contagious. Make a simple team charter that outlines your shared values, mission, and main goal of the project. Don't overthink it. Use simple language, and if you can, fit it on a sticky note and post it near your work area. It's also a good idea to practice positive reinforcement. We are usually our own worst critics, and working alone most of the time doesn't help. Successful teams leverage the talents and experience of other team members and periodically remind them of their value to the team. The main idea is to foster a positive working environment and agree on some core beliefs. Great collaboration comes when there is a shared sense of purpose and teams can work together without fear of judgment. Since you're not in the office, you will miss out on the informal communication, otherwise known as the water cooler talk, that naturally occurs when you are on site. But researchers deem this is an important social function of teams, so you're going to have to figure out how to add it to your team's communications. This can be through an event or even just an occasional phone call or message. Remember, there's a person on the other side of that screen. If you were in an office, you would take the time to say hello and ask how they're doing. You would do things like office parties or happy hours. Why should we expect it to be any different in a virtual environment? When we work in an office, you can see the person next to you. You can feel the vibes in the room. You can tell if somebody's tired or just doesn't agree just by observing their body language. Working virtually makes this harder, but it's not impossible. There are simple things you can do to better understand the environment of your teammate. For example, declaring the energy, emotional, and workload level on a scale of 1 to 10 at the beginning of meetings. This eliminates any assumptions and gives your team members a solid understanding of your motivations regarding your decisions. When we take the time to understand each other as humans, we realize we all need the same things: to be understood, to be appreciated, to be helped back up when we fall. Being geographically dispersed doesn't mean we lose these things that describe the human condition. Yet somehow we've forgotten this in the race for efficiency and better technology. Virtual teamwork can be successful, but it takes a deliberate approach. And when we do this, amazing things happen. We increase meaningful interaction, we minimize ambiguity, and we get back to what makes diverse teams so successful: the people within the teams. I've created a website prototype to get us started in thinking about a strategic approach to the virtual team process, and I invite you all to join in the evolution of this project. Let's stop blaming technology and start making progress. Thank you.